Good evening, good morning, wherever you're at. Again, this is Mark Byrd with Torah One New Men. Welcome back to part 2 of session 2. And we'll pick right up off where we left and revisit the last PowerPoint. Traces of Jewish mystical traditions can be found from the late Second Temple period, 586 BCE to 770 CE. Most scholars begin their histories of Jewish mysticism around the 1st century of the first millennium. Kabbalah, Hebrew word for handed down by tradition. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Kabbalah, but enough to get you an introduction here as another way of walking through this 49 days of counting the Omer. Kabbalah, the literal meaning of which is that which is received, such as passing it down by tradition and you receiving it. Kabbalistic writings, like most rabbinic teachings, are based on Torah, on the stories, characters, ethics, and rituals that form the foundation of Jewish tradition. Kabbalah is the Torah's expression of the way the world works. And I want to read you a writing here from Rabbi Avraham Greenbaum of the Azamra Institute. Kabbalah reaches back to the patriarch Abraham, who devoted his life to searching for the one God and revealing God to the world. Abraham is said to have received traditional wisdom from Shem, son of Noah, and his great-grandson Eber. Abraham's investigations brought him to supreme levels of prophecy and wisdom. His teachings were passed down in the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation, the most ancient Kabbalistic work. Abraham passed on his wisdom to Isaac, and they both taught Jacob. Jacob taught the tradition to all his 12 sons, appointing his son Levi as the special guardian of the tradition. Levi handed the tradition to his son Kehat, who passed it to Amram, from whom it came to Moses. The entire Kabbalah is embedded in the Torah that Moses received at Sinai. Moses entrusted the Torah to the elders of the children of Israel, from whom it came down to the prophets, who became the chief guardians of the secrets of the Torah. Allusions to the secret mystical knowledge are contained throughout the Bible, and especially in Ezekiel's vision of the chariot in Ezekiel chapter 1. As I opened up earlier in session 1, I talked about the secret that was put into you that King David writes about in Psalms 139. So the secrets of the Torah are already inside of you that God put in you when He formed you in your mother's womb. Here's a picture of the tree of life looking from a Kabbalic point of view called the Ein Sof. And each of these circles here has a different meaning. And we'll go through these a little later. I'll help everybody get more of this. But each Sephirah, out of the 10 of them, are related to each one. So each piece is called a Sephirah. Sephirah literally means accounting. The Hebrew root of this word also forms the word for story. And there is a story at each of the levels of the tree of life. Again, a picture of the Ein Sof. And here we have a story in each one of these. And I'm going to show you a picture here later to show you how they're interconnected as we walk through this. And I have a handout for you from aish.com that will go through these Sephirahs. They'll go through the bottom 7 of the Sephirahs and how they interrelate with each other. The path downward on the tree is called the path of creation, and the path upward of the tree describes the spiritual awakening. Here's another picture, up and down. The 16th century Kabbalist, the Rabbi Yitzhak Luria of Safed, also known as the Ari, or literally the lion, talks about the top 3 Sephirah on that tree of life as wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, as conscious intellect, such as what's in our head, what's in our brain, is our conscious intellect. The bottom 3 here then look at conscious emotions, and the last 3, set 4, will look at secondary emotions. So we all think with this, but we feel with this. Is that right for most of us? We feel our emotions here, not in our head, until the emotion gets so overwhelming that it gives me a headache because I don't like the way it feels. So this is how the 16th century looks at this. And when I've shared on this before with Safed, when we spend time in Tiberias, we can look from the Sea of Galilee up on the hill, and at nighttime you can see a light up here. You can see the lights of the city. I think that not only was Yeshua talking about a city on a hill will be lighted up, like such as Jerusalem, but also Safed, because he was probably speaking there at the Sea of Galilee, looking up to see that light that wouldn't be hidden. Here we have another picture that I've broken down now to see that the top 3 Sephirahs, the Keter, the Chokmah, and the Binah, of the crown, wisdom, and understanding. And when you look at these on your handout, we can really tie them together further. So we see this tree of life come down from the crown to the wisdom, over to the understanding, which will take us down through knowledge of Da'ath, right to Hesed, which is the first one of loving kindness. It will take us over to Gevurah, which is justice and discipline, down through Tefurah, which is harmony, compassion, Netzach, which is endurance, back across to Hod, which is humility, down to Yesod, which is bonding, and down to Malkuth, which is the kingship. And as we look at this, I can see myself or ourselves as a tree like we'd looked at the Pardes, of a tree of always reaching up. Now we can see a man standing here, head centered, arms hanging down. Tefurah, Yesod, will keep us in balance. And so this is another part of what Kabbalah is looking differently as we're trying to weed out these weeds that are choking out this sin in our life. Kabbalistic tradition assigns one of the names of God to each Sephirah and a major biblical character to each of the lower Sephirahs. And I'm going to show you each name here, and then we can spend more time and go through them and write them down. So, a name of God for each Sephirah and a major biblical character for the lower 7. The lower 7 are what we're going to work with in Aish.com, walking through these 49 days. Keter is the crown. The name of God is Aye Asher Aye. I am as I am. Chokmah, wisdom. The name of God is Yah, the eternal. Binah, understanding. Name of God is Elohim, meaning God. Hesed, loving kindness. Name of God is El, God. Gevurah is strength, Elohim, God. Beauty, Adonai, the eternal being. Netzach, victory. Name of God is Adonai Zevaot, the eternal one of hosts. Hod, glory, Elohim Zevaot, God of hosts. Yesod, the foundation, El Shaddai, God Almighty. Malkut is the kingship, Adonai is the Lord. And so each Sephirah has a name with the bottom 7 biblical attributes of God, a biblical attribute of Him. In Genesis 1:26, we are told that man is made in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, man has the attributes, the Sephirot of God, in his image. If we are made in his image, then we have this inside of us. And not being afraid of the word Kabbalah, knowing that it is handed down by tradition to receive something, we can look at this in a different viewpoint. Is coming closer to your Creator a feeling or a true transformational effort?
Have Christians been taught over the years to be guarded or stay away from the Kabbalah as if it is false or as if it is something going on?
Yes, they have been. I believe they've been taught, Ty, that over the years and probably centuries, Christians have been taught to stay away from this because they don't understand it. It isn't something that we're seeking outside of God. It is something that we don't understand what the word means. And so that's why I wanted to share with you earlier that first word was handed down by tradition. How did it get handed down by tradition? We can go all the way back to Abraham being taught from Shem and Eber, which we know are Noah's sons, that would have got passed down from Adam and through the lineage all the way to Noah. So this stuff is hidden from us in a way, but being revealed today, because as we get into the next session, we'll talk about the return of the northern kingdom. Revelation information is being exposed to us today that was never there before. And we're accepting it today because the Spirit of the Lord is calling us back. It isn't what I would call voodoo or witchcraft or sorcery or any of those other things that we hear about. It's from the one true God. And so I talked about stories, and I continue to try to emphasize that word story because it's so important to get passed down. Us as parents and grandparents, we tell stories to our children, and we don't lie to them. Do you? No. You tell your children the truth. Just as Adam would have passed it down all the way to Noah, and Noah would continue to pass it down, and Abraham would continue to pass it down, all the way to Moses, to where it got written down. I think a big part that we don't understand is how to read the scripture that Moses wrote down, that God told him to write down, and an understanding it in a way that is presented this way. Because I just read that too, that everything in Torah tells us this. We just don't know how to read it yet. And that's part of what we don't come from. We don't come from a Hebrew background. We come from a Greek mindset of a Western thinking, not of a Hebrew mindset of the stories of the Hebrews all throughout history.
I can remember years ago, of course, quite a few years ago, in youth group, Bible study, them playing a game of passing a story from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, and by the time you get around to the last person, you compare the first story to the last story, right. and we laugh because they've been messed up so badly, right? And so that's one of the illustrations that is frequently used to tell you not to trust oral tradition. Right. Yeah. And so, but we have something that is actually deeper and more credible than what we have realized.
Absolutely. I believe what's written down in Scripture from our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I believe what's spoken about Noah. I believe what's spoken about Adam. So I don't think that stuff is a false lie. I think they continually told it over and over. And I think that example of Passover at a Seder dinner that keeps spoken over and over about the Exodus doesn't get changed.
Over 3,000 years.
Doesn't get changed. It's the same story. And we're getting back to the same true God that King David wrote about, putting the secrets inside of you in your mother's womb. Fashion the days ahead of you. And we know that we're in the latter days today, and all of this is being exposed and bringing us back to the one true God. I hope that helps a lot of people out there to understand that this isn't so mystical as it is traditional, being passed down all the way from Adam. So is coming closer to your Creator a feeling or a true transformational effort? I believe it's both. I believe coming closer to our Creator is a feeling, but it takes a transformational effort to get there, such as counting 49 days of the Omer to get to the 50th day, just as the Israelites then at Shavuot received the greatest gift, which was the Torah. Us, our greatest gift is a pure heart to take back to the Lord at Shavuot. Our degree of spiritual perception is directly related to the extent to which we feel a sense of belonging, of being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Now we're going to look at some of our numbers here that I said we would talk about, starting with the number 7. And we can see number 7 here is mentioned in this millennial daily practice. We'll see that number 1 is daily, prayer, morning, afternoon, and evening. Number 2 is weekly Sabbath. Number 3 is the monthly new moon. Number 4 is the Moedim, the appointed times. Number 5 is the 7-year Shemitah Sabbaths. Number 6 is the Jubilee year of 50 years. And the 7th is the millennial year of 1,000 years, which is the age to come. Number 7, and these all come out of the book of Numbers, Wisdom and the Numbers, out of Art Scroll. You could go look them up. Number 1, 7 signifies completion. 2, the 7 days of the week culminate in Shabbos, as creation proudly proclaims the mastery of its creator. Number 3, the Hebrew calendar counts years like days and cycles of 7. Number 4, 7 is the number symbolizing units that together form a complete series. Number 5, traditional wisdoms within creation are alluded to in the 7 branches of the menorah. Number 6, the completion of the world in 7 days parallels the 7 Sephiros to embrace the natural realm. And 7 weeks between Pesach and Shavuos symbolize the tradition of the Israelite people from their spiritual contamination to their ascent into holiness. Number 49, the full measure. 1, 49 relates to the fulfillment of the natural cycle. 2, it is the journey where man fulfills his maximum to reach the extent of his capabilities. 3, it is the epitome of midah, measure, also used to describe a trait or a characteristic. Number 4, the number 49 is used to depict the full measure of something in the world. Number 5, together the 49 years join the completion of the full cycle. 6, 49 signifies the completion of 7 cycles of 7, as in the final completion in the spiritual realm. 7, man's primary objective is to progress through the natural cycle of 49. 50, all the way. The journey from one festival to another is alluded to in the 50-day count of Pesach to Shavuot. 2, the count of the Omer is the process of building from the lowly level of an animal to the spiritual heights of a godly being. 3, the Exodus introduced a spiritual cleansing. 4, the arrival at 50 marks the entry into the exalted state. The 50th level relates to that which is out of this world. 6, Israel achieved unity with God when they arrived at Sinai to encamp in a unified state. 7, the contractual duties of Israel came into effect on the 50th day after the Exodus. Here God showered his beloved nation with the best wedding gift of them all, the gift of Torah. The 7 weekly cycles of 7 days lasting until the 50th day, Shavuot, has its obvious parallel to the 7 Shemitah sabbatical cycles of 7 years that culminate in the 50th year, the Yovel, the Jubilee year. Yovel marked the cumulative conclusion of an epoch. Everything that occurred previously, even something termed as lasting leolam, forever, comes to an end. The slate is wiped clean. It returns to its original pristine state to enable the process to begin anew. Here it is with us, walking 49 days, counting the Omer. After the 49th day, the 50th day, everything in the past is wiped clean and it begins anew. It is said the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one small step. During the Omer, you can take 49 meaningful steps on a journey that can change your life for the better. For he has given you the keys to the kingdom. Thank you all for joining me tonight. May God bless you and keep you safe. Shalom, shalom.